Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
This is a true humanitarian crisis. The Doctors Without Borders come to the United States to do their work. They go to the hottest spots in the world. They look at the earth and say, where are we needed? Well, they're needed here in the United States right now. So I know it's tough to hear. I've already gotten a lot of emails and social about the fact that I call this a humanitarian disaster, but I stand by it. It is. And hopefully it inspires people to do something about it.
Humanitarian disaster, getting worse second by second. I don't know if America will survive. I don't. I'm joking, obviously. Look, it's not good. Let's not pretend. People died yesterday. A bunch of them. 1,893. Because of the coronavirus. 1,893. Weird thing is, Trump's just given up. Just bizarre. It is the weirdest, it's sad, actually. It's sad. It is, I haven't heard anything from him. In fact, for days, outside of seeing him at the Veterans Day when he laid the wreath at Arlington, has anybody really even seen him? A few tweets here and there about how pissed off he is, how much the election's been stolen from him, and how he's been wronged, and how there's been 2 million votes stolen for him with zero proof whatsoever, and people continuing to back up that. And along the way, this thing is flaring up everywhere. Governors are making decisions, and the coronavirus, nary a word.
Not a single word or tweet about the raging pandemic in the days since he lost his re-election bid, declining to address the alarming rise in COVID cases and still refusing to concede. Instead, President Trump is taking to Twitter to push false allegations about voter fraud, consistently rejected by every court that reviews them.
Yeah, yesterday, in one of the courts, I think it was Arizona, might have been Pennsylvania, but I think it was Arizona, and they... perfect example of what they were. The judge says, so have you guys found any fraud? And they're like, well, we're not alleging any fraud. And we do not believe that the election was stolen. And the judge said, oh, okay. No, we think that what has taken place is essentially mismanagement and poor training has led to some mistakes. Well, that's fair. But you're in the court because of, look, we have human beings working on these things, right? So there's going to be mismanagement and there's going to be mistakes. That's just it. There's nothing else about that. I mean, as long as human beings are involved in anything, you'll find that. But when you have the coronavirus in a situation right now where it is ugly and nasty, and you could call it a hoax, you could say it's just a little bit worse than the flu, whatever you want to call it, I'm fine with that, but it's not a hoax, it's not fake, and it is causing some issues. Now, is it as deadly as they said it was? It is not as deadly as they said it was. Have they overblown it at times to make it feel like if you get this, you're in the final stages of rabies? For those of you guys who don't know, there is no cure for that at all. So what exactly is going on? Well, the pressure in our systems as far as the healthcare is growing exponentially. We have seen a spike across the country. We've got more and more states and cities shutting things down, which isn't going to help the economy. And now we have potentially another issue, which is Thanksgiving and what potentially could happen there. But one of the things that they're pointing out is restaurants, gyms, not great places to go. Homes aren't either. So what do you do at that point? So you can't gather? Now, I look, yesterday, so many people are like, and you can always tell the difference in, I can tell by a tweet, even if you don't mention Trump, how you feel about certain things. I had so many people say, well, Chad, you always talk about personal responsibility, but obviously people can't be responsible, so it's time for the government to take over. And I'm like, no. It is not time for the government to take over. You still have to have personal responsibility. I don't think Biden's going to close down the country for 4 to 6 weeks. I just don't think it's possible. I think the pushback, Mississippi already came out yesterday when they heard about this, like, we're not closing down the way that he wants. But personal responsibility is a huge thing, and not just in whether or not you wear a mask, in a lot of different things. We've overlooked that. Now, what do I think is going to happen? I think we're going to get through this thing, and I think we're facing it another several potential weeks that are going to be tough in a time of the year where businesses would be, as I like to say, making hay, and the reality is they're not going to be able to. Things are changing big time.
This wave dwarfs the spring and summer surges.
I doubt we're going to eradicate this. I think we need to plan that this is something we may need to maintain control over chronically. Certainly, it's not going to be pandemic for a lot longer because I believe the vaccines are going to turn that around.
I've said from the beginning, it's not going anywhere. It's endemic, not pandemic. It's going to be here potentially always. I mean, name a place where they don't have, here in America, where we haven't seen it continuously somewhere, where there's not a case every single day. Since this thing really took hold, it's just been a wave. Gone up, and then it went down for a while. Then it's gone up, and it's not like the flu. When the flu disappears for those several months, you don't have the flu. This has just been here, and it's growing again. Personal responsibility. But I watch television every once in a great while. Today, I'm very glued to the TV because the Masters is on, and I'm watching it, and I'm in a bunch of pools, and I'm watching my players play. But you know, when I go into my other studios, we have several TVs in these studios, and they all have the news things on, and I still have my Masters in every one that I go in and watch it, and whether Gunsmoke, whatever it is, because I like to just, I don't follow those things, but to watch the panic porn, as we call it, all the time, it's ridiculous. We have to start having some good news, even though there's some bad news out there. One of the things is, you know what? The death rates really aren't what everybody says they are. And we never point that out. It's always the negative, because negative is easier to sell. Maybe we should have somebody talking about the reality of this. You know, yesterday that Michael Osterholm says we need to have a talk with America about the reality of this. Yes, we do. Yes, we absolutely do.
But we have 11 million people in our country who have already had COVID. We should tell them to celebrate. We should tell them to throw away their masks, go to restaurants, live again, because these people are now immune. But Dr. Fauci doesn't want to admit to any of that. Dr. Fauci's like, oh, woe is me, until the election occurs, and now maybe he'll be changing his attitude.
Rand Paul's right. So my local show here in Phoenix, they're always, you know, we do these stories. Yesterday we did a story with a guy, and my partner wanted to do on air. And so, a great guy, by the way, a guy that had a kidney transplant, and he got the first virus, not the one that's mutated on several occasions. He got that one, and he had just had a kidney transplant, came home, got really sick. He was sick from March till, well, quite frankly, now. He was in the hospital for 33 days where he doesn't remember anything, on a ventilator for, I think, 18 of those days. Doesn't remember a thing. And I'm like, why don't we have anybody else on that's like, yeah, I had it. What was it? I was sick for a day and I move on. Well, there's no story in that. It's exactly what it is. We've got a lot of people that have survived this. And if you go by the numbers that the CDC and the World Health Organization have said, there's a good chance that 25 to 30 million Americans have had it. And then you look at the fact there were about 240,000 deaths. You start to realize the danger in this thing is the spread. But the numbers, when you look at that, if you look at how many people they believe, because 80% of people are asymptomatic. Out of those 80%, they don't feel anything. So 20% will feel something. And out of those, most of them will be sick for a day or two where they feel off. And then you get to a portion of people who will be really sick. And then some that are even sicker and require medical attention in a hospital. But we don't talk about those numbers because the pessimism sells. I'm not here to be pessimistic. We're going to be fine. Yeah, you know what? It's going to be uncomfortable. We're going to have to learn to live with it, through it, and around it, but we can do that. I have belief in Americans that we're going to not only get through this, we're going to eventually come out the other side. We're going to have a vaccine, 2 or 3, and several different treatments, and we'll be all right. We need to start looking at the other side of things. We're always looking at the bad. How about we start looking at the good? How about we start focusing on the better numbers rather than the insanity that I see from people out there? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet, text, love hearing from every single one of you. Do Car Shield. Love it. 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car for free while your car is in the shop, and you get to choose the shop. They get them paid directly. It is, it's a no-brainer, people. It truly is. You pay a small deductible and away they go. So you're worried about your car. You know, you're thinking to yourself, man, a check engine light comes on. Your car's maybe 6, 7, 8 years old. You don't have a warranty on it, so you have nothing to protect you from cover repairs. So what are you waiting for? Call 800-CAR-6000. Use the promo code Benson. When you do that, you save 10%. Tell them exactly what it is that you're worried about and what you're looking to protect your car from, whether it's maybe a newer model with the protection for the engine, but you don't have anything for the electronics, or something's a little bit older. You don't have that, but you're worried about your transmission and the engine. Call them today. Be specific on what you're looking for. 800-CAR-6000, promo code Benson. Or go to carshield.com, carshield.com. Use that promo code Benson to save 10%. A deductible may apply. Chad Benson Show.
I can't take it anymore!
Well, get over it. It's time to forge a new path with your very own political cartographer, Chad.
Hey, this one will get you. A golf pro in Naples, Florida said he had to do a double take when he first saw this. That's a massive alligator strolling across a tee box at a local country club. Tyler Stolting says he had never seen a gator that huge, so he got out his camera and he started rolling. Apparently, the gators are regular there.
Wow.
The neighbors nicknamed that gator Al.
There is a fine line between alligator and dinosaur.
I mean,
he is right on it.
He's walking it.
He is right on it. Wow.
If you've never seen, it's all over the news. If you've never seen Big Al, he's rolling through. He's on his way. He's cruising on through. As he does, he kind of it's one of those things where you give him a little bit of leeway and just let him go. And if you've ever golfed in Florida, for those of you who live there, first of all, we always joke about, Florida being, well, what Florida is, but every pond, every body of water, including puddles, probably has an alligator in it. And Big Al rolled on through. And if you want to see something that, hey, you let him play on through. And he's totally not bothered by anything that's going on. He's not. He's like, you know what? I'm going to go. You guys just wait. I'm going to play through. I'm going to get in the water, and then I'm going to wait for somebody's dog to get out, and then I'll have a snack. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from all of you. Got some interesting text yesterday in a tweet. One guy apologized. Said, the other day I was really, mean to you, and I was a jerk, and he apologized. And look, I think all of us, the emotions of what just took place with the election, also the fact that we've been cooped up for several months, off and on. Businesses are struggling. People are making business decisions on what to do with their children. Some people are quitting their jobs to take care of their kids because they can't trust that school's going to be there tomorrow with the way that things are. It's a tough thing. And I get that people lash out, and especially a lot of people out there who are Trump supporters, who just everywhere around the corner there is a boogeyman. Everywhere around the corner somebody stole somebody. Everywhere around the corner something has happened where they feel like this has been done to them. It hasn't been done to you. You let the thing play out in the courts. Karl Rove came out yesterday, said, look, there's nothing to see here. You're not going to find anything. Then on top of all of that, you had what is now being called the safest election in history.
A security team led by the Department of Homeland Security calls the election the most secure in American history, adding, while we know there are many unfounded claims, we can assure you we have the utmost confidence in the security and integrity of our elections.
And I believe that to be true. It doesn't mean that it was perfect. And it doesn't mean that it was flawless and that there wasn't mistakes and some people didn't try to do some things. And that's good. No matter what system you have, it will always be that way as long as human beings are involved. But for everybody out there who's a Trump supporter and you're taking it personal, you didn't lose anything. Trump's not going anywhere. You didn't lose anything. He may not be president. Again, I'm going to let the court thing. I look at Biden as the president-elect, but Donald Trump's still the president of the United States. And you've got to just, that's what it is. But the emotions that people have right now are still running high. And I get at least 10 or 15 messages a day, whether it's through Facebook or Twitter, where somebody, will DM me directly or tweet at me or text me and talk about what a horrible human being I am because they feel like I don't like the president. First of all, I don't care for as far as I don't want them to fail, but I don't have any personal kind of connection. It's just a person doing a job, and I hope they do a good job. But for a lot of people out there, this is very personal. And I get that. But you need to take a deep breath. You didn't lose anything. Nobody came to your house and took away something from you. You still have to go to work. Still have to do your job. Coronavirus is not like you lost and now that you have to have the coronavirus. None of that stuff. And I think we need to take a deep breath. Focus on other things. Focus on the fact that Thanksgiving's here. And you may not be able to do anything for Thanksgiving, but at least it's here. And 2021's not far away. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Oh. What is it, kids? Friday the 13th, baby. You ever wonder? We like to do these things every once in a while. You ever wonder why it is supposedly bad luck? The fear of 13. Like walking under a ladder, they say, crossing the paths of the black cat. All these things. Why? It's always history. Western cultures associate the number 12 with completeness. 12 days of Christmas, 12 months in the zodiac signs, 12 labors of Hercules, 12 gods in Olympus, 12 tribes of Israel. Those kind of things. Look at. But why is it unlucky? Some take it back to the Last Supper, held on Maundy Thursday. What? Including Jesus and his 12 apostles, one of which was Judas, who betrayed him the next day, as we all know, which was Good Friday, the day of Jesus' crucifixion. Yeah. 13 Club, 19th century, New Yorker named Captain Williams Fowler sought to remove an enduring stigma around the number 13, particularly the underwritten rule about having 13 guests when you're doing stuff, right? Like, you don't have 13 guests, do you? Yeah. The group dined regularly on the 13th day of the month in room 13 of the Knickerbocker Cottage, a popular watering hole he owned from 63, the 1800s, to 83 before sitting down for a 13-course meal. pop culture. You got the movies and everything. Has anything bad ever happened on Friday the 13th? October 13th, 1307. King Philip IV of France was arrested. Hundreds of the Knights Templar, a powerful organization, religious, in prison on charges of various illegal behaviors because they wanted the king access to financial resources. More recent times, you had a bombing by a German bomber in the Buckingham Palace in the 40s. Tupac was killed. Costa Concordia cruise ship off the coast of Italy killed 30 people. Boom. Just little things like that. We go back in time. We're like, wow, why do we have this? And 13, it's funny. When I went over to Europe to play soccer, it was back in the day when you only had 2 substitutes. Not like you do now where you have 5 and your squad's like 40 players and everybody gets a number and that's their number and they get their name on the back. It wasn't like that back then. Back then, it was 1 through 11 was your starting lineup. They had the number 12 and the number 14. Still go to hotels that have, or office buildings that have, you watch, most of them don't have the 13th floor. Little weird things. 13 was always a lucky number for me. I never shied away from it. Maybe I'm an odd bird. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. The election kind of sort of still going on. Arizona's been called for Biden. That's not a shocker. You've got just a couple out there. Georgia's in the recount. And, of course, the contentious battle, even though it's already been awarded, if you will, by the media and everybody else for Biden. And most of these places haven't certified their election, and the Electoral College doesn't meet until the 12th of December. But there's plenty of stuff still going on. Trump got a little bit of a win, but most of the places he's losing.
Essentially a first-time voter who's voting by mail who needs to come and provide some identification to ensure that the ballot is valid. And on that, the secretary, the court found, could not grant additional days for the voter to come and provide that identification.
So it was not a lot of votes in Pennsylvania. I think it was 2,100. Trump's behind by a ton, so it doesn't really make a difference, but it felt like there was a win. Now, these weren't ballots that were, quote unquote, people who cheated. They needed to come in and show additional information. It was the first time they voted. And somebody just asked me a while ago, why aren't people more outraged by all the cheating? I said, well, first of all, part of the problem is you have to show the proof. Like, let's be real. How much cheating was really done? Secondly, all we ever hear anymore is it's fraud, it's cheating, it's fake. People have become so cynical that they expect something to happen or people to decry that. So after a while, it's like the boy crying wolf, right? What ends up happening? You say it over and over again, you become numb to it. Do you remember when car alarms first came out? What was the big one? Was it Viper? Right? And then everywhere, car alarms would go off. People would look. But after a while, it was just annoying and nobody paid attention. That's all it was. Whose car alarm's going off? Dogs are crying. You know, growing up in Southern California, let me tell you something. Let me tell you what happens when there's an earthquake. Every car alarm goes off for a while. But it's mostly an annoyance, and we don't pay any attention to it. It's the same thing now with this. Every single thing that happens, doesn't matter what side wins, the other side decries they must have cheated. That's what's happened. They must have cheated. That's one of the issues in a situation like this. When you feel like, by the way, both parties, think about this, both parties going into this election had lawyered up, were already suing various states for certain situations, and decrying the other side is going to cheat. Think about that. So you knew whoever was going to win was going to be like, well, nobody cheated. And whoever lost was going to go, I must have been cheated. So when people aren't up in arms, it's because you've been telling us that for a while. And we feel like we're not believing you guys anymore. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. With all of this stuff going on, there's something else happening out there, which is nothing when it comes to what potentially may happen as states start to shut down again. And is there going to be another stimulus?
The president and the Republicans in Congress have ignored by delay, distortion, denial, deaths have been caused. And what are they doing now? Continuing to ignore in spite of these numbers that should be so compelling, that are an imperative for us to act upon this. Avoidance of taking responsibility. Their contempt for science, that's not what they're about. That's not what they're about. And what that is, they're engaged in an absurd circus right now, refusing to accept reality.
I have no idea. She's just meandering on. Their contempt for science? This is about a stimulus. What are we talking about here? You want a bunch. They want to give you a little. You want a lot. Guess what? Find out what the medium is and we move on. That's what we should be doing. States are going to make their decisions in the coming, some already are. Illinois, you see what's going on there. New York is making certain decisions going on. California makes all kinds of decisions, but you're also getting pushbacks from some counties. Do we need another stimulus? Well, if we're going to be shutting down again, yes. But why is it the federal government's responsibility to bail out states that are telling everybody to shut down?
Right now, we are talking about addressing the pandemic. If we do so scientifically, we will be able to open our economy, open our schools safely. So stop the circus and get to work on what really matters to the American people, their health and their economic security.
Yeah. Okay. But we're bailing out states as well. Does the federal government need to do something? I'm all for targeted approach, and I think we could do it 60, 90 days at a time. It doesn't have to be everything all the time. We can take steps along the way. But that's what we have. Senator Dick Durbin on negotiations.
You voted no on McConnell's $500 billion package. What concessions are you willing to make now so that desperate Americans don't have to wait until 2021?
I'm not going to say, okay, well, forget food stamps. We won't be worried about people having enough food. That's irresponsible, even though we address the issue and the Republicans don't. I'm not going to say, well, let's walk away from testing people for coronavirus and saying you don't have to wait days for results. I'm not going to walk away from those things. What we need to do is to walk into the positive side of this, a bipartisan approach that really does something now, that is helpful now.
I think people want that. That's what you guys are there for. What's going to be helpful now? And this is the thing. Do I think Mitch's bill 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, we weren't in the situation, was probably spot on. We're in a different situation now. That's why you take these things month by month, 60 days out, maybe 90. You don't throw everything out there at once. And we do need to ask the question of how are we paying for all of this stuff?
It doesn't mean we get everything or they get everything, but it means that the package that we come up with is significant, addresses the problems we face. It's a dangerous situation. Other states face the same thing. Let's get something done that is significant, do what we can achieve now.
When does it happen? Does it happen in this lame duck?
Absolutely.
Okay, I hope so.
Don't waste the opportunity.
I certainly hope so.
I hope so, too. Dick Durbin right there. Absolutely. I'd like to see something done. I think American people need that. I think we need to find out a way that, we ensure people are going to be getting the vaccine when it comes out so they can have a kind of some confidence behind that. It doesn't need to be $5 trillion or $3 trillion, and it doesn't need to be $550 billion. You can meet at $1.5 trillion at this moment, and we can walk it out. Hopefully by then, this thing will have slowed down enough because of the shutdowns and by then a decent distribution, at least of 40 so million, give or take, dosage to people working in the healthcare industry and the most vulnerable. But we also need to figure out, Nancy and everybody, how we go about keeping things open, pressing for personal responsibility a little bit more, but also understanding that there may be nothing we're going to be able to do about it in the short term. We're growing out here with the cases. Everywhere I go, people wear masks. Inside the buildings, people wear masks. Outside of the buildings, when I go to stores or wherever, people are wearing masks. So it's happening, and in many places, it's happening in places where you're not going to wear a mask. You're home. It's just not going to happen. So we do need to figure out how we live with it, through it, and around it, protect the vulnerable, try to keep as many people employed as possible, and give a little bit of help. Shouldn't be this hard. Raycon, very easy. Holidays, a lot of pent-up spending, and people are just frustrated. They're looking around. Let me tell you something. The best earbuds around. Ray J put it together, sound quality and price point. He wanted the best sound quality. He's got the best sound quality. He wanted the best price point. He got that. It's the noise isolating fit that changes the game, and it is truly incredible. 6 hours of talk time, seamless Bluetooth pairing, well under $100. You're going to love these. They make great gifts. Get some for yourself, too. I love it. Like I say, the thing about it, there's no stems and wires, and they go in your ear and they stay in your ear. That, to me, is awesome, especially as hard as I work out, as hard as I try to swing the club, or whether I'm playing soccer. Knowing they're not going to fall out is amazing. Get yours now, well under $100. Best earbuds around, and save big. Go to buyraycon.com/Chad, buyraycon.com/Chad, buyraycon.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
To be free. I am not a terrorist. I am not Antifa. I am not a sex slave that wears masks.
Don't be a cutie pie.
Probably sit around and cook some soups and eat bread and desserts and just get all fat and sassy.
You're ruining my life, Bob!
Yeah, you haven't seen anything yet.
You're listening to The Chad Benson Show.
Hopefully the weekend won't be blinded by the lights, because there's going to be a lot of them. The chart-topping and Grammy-winning singer tapped to headline the next Super Bowl halftime show. In a statement, he says, "We all grew up watching the world's biggest acts play the big game, and he's humbled, honored, and ecstatic to be the center of that infamous stage." The weekend follows Jennifer Lopez and Shakira's critically acclaimed performance this year. Next year, Super Bowl takes place February 7th in Tampa Bay.
That'll be interesting. I was talking to Anthony, and he's like, don't they know the audience? I said, let me tell you a little something. I said, there are two, on Super Bowl Sunday, everybody watches. That not just, diehard fans, but diehard fans, regular fans, casual fans, fans that, aren't even fans, if you will. Just they're there, men, women, and a lot of women. Kids, everybody watches. And getting that is a huge deal. Now, he won't be the only one. He'll be the star of it. But I can guarantee they're going to have several other pop-ins along the way. So this will be pretty cool. It's just going to be weird to watch it without fans, if there isn't going to be any fans there. I'll tell you, when people are citing why the numbers on television as far as sports have gone down, the number one thing that people are citing, the social justice thing aside, is the fact that there's no fans. So it makes the game feel less important. I'll say, last week it was weird. I watched because I watch golf, and I watched the Houston Vibrant Open or whatever it was, and it was the first time that they had fans there, and it was a limited amount. But this weekend is the Masters. And part of the Masters, the greatness of it and the drama is on Sunday. The chasing, the guy that's chasing the leader, and or the leader themselves, and there's not a lot of boards out there, and it's hearing a roar from two other greens away. It's interesting not having that. It really is. Watching last year, you're just watching the crowds when it came to Tiger winning another green jacket, and it's just not having that. I can understand why it feels different and it feels unimportant. So how this looks when he goes out, if there's no crowd, from what I'm understanding, they're saying it might be 25% full, and this is going to be at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa. But it's going to be odd. It is. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text us. Another law firm, big one, told President Trump they're not going to be involved anymore. Columbus-based firm Porter, Wright, Morris, and Arthur told a federal judge that they're out. So they're pulling out. There's just nothing there. It's not the first, probably will not be the last. And these companies make their living on things like this. The profile raises your profile, if you will. And that's huge for your bottom line. And if you're seeing these companies pull out, you start to realize that, yeah, there's not a lot of there. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
When we come back home, if we have people coming in, if we have kids that are going to school coming back, we have to be careful and we have to make tough decisions. And masking in the home, opening those windows, being apart from the closest people that we love are some of the steps we're going to have to take.
Yeah, I was just talking to the guys. I'm like, I call it a no on the masking at the home. Sorry. At this point, I know you, so we've probably met before. So I'm going to give a hard pass on that. Well, Chad, but, look, it's serious, right? This thing is real. Now, has it been overblown? Yes. Has it been underplayed at times? It has. I think Trump's done a horrible job at times in the way that he's gone about talking about this. And by the way, over the last 10 days or so, really since the election, even before that, but since then, he's off the radar. He doesn't care anymore. He's not paying attention. He's given up. I don't care what anybody says. Outside of the fight for trying to win an election and continuing to throw all of these useless lawsuits around, the reality is he's kind of given up. The rest of us have to deal with this thing. It's been overblown when it comes to how deadly it is, but it's also been ignored at time and underplayed how fast it spreads. That's why you have so many deaths. It's because of the spread. People say, well, the flu spreads. The flu, we have a vaccine for the flu. Now, that's the other thing I was going to explain to people. We have a vaccine for the flu. We have therapeutics for the flu. We don't have any of those for these. This is not just, it's just like the flu. We can compare it somewhat to the flu because that's all we have to compare it to. Compare it to a super deadly cold. How's that? But I also realize that we've got to take some calculated risk in life. And when I hear things like mask up in the home, sorry, I'm out. I'm not doing it. I'm not. When I'm in the office, when I'm in a building, where the places that I respect other people. I don't know what they're going through. The person next to me getting groceries, maybe getting it for his elderly mother or father who is sick, and he's making the trip out and he's doing it once, and I respect that because I respect other people. But when you start talking about things like we should put a mask up in the home, or we should do this in the home, or that's when I'm sorry. You know what? I've said I'll wear a mask when I'm in the buildings. and then I'm in a shop and I'm in a store because I respect other people. If I'm out working out on a run, I'm not wearing a mask. If I'm on a golf course and I'm the only one around me, I'm not wearing a mask. And if in my home or my car, you better GD know I'm not wearing a mask. Absolutely. We will get through this thing, but it is ugly.
We are breaking records today, and then we're going to shatter them again tomorrow. We already have hospitals that are overwhelmed. We have ICUs that are over capacity, and we're only seeing the numbers shoot up in all the wrong directions. I think people need to take matters into our own hands because we know that the Trump administration is not going to do their part. And so that starts with something as basic as limiting our indoor gatherings.
What am I doing? The same thing I did last year. We have a small gathering because I don't have a lot of family out here, so it's not like I'm getting together with a bunch of people. But if if I was with my family out in Southern California, we'd probably have a little bit of a bigger gathering, but we don't even do that. My mother, she's at the point in her life with all the damn kids that she doesn't want to do that stuff anymore. So usually we go out to eat and then we go shopping, and that's not happening. But life's about calculated risks. We take them all the time. And I think we need to learn that, yes, this thing's not going anywhere. We can live with it, through it, and around it. And we're going to see some spiking numbers over the next couple of weeks and potentially a month. There is help on the way. But we also need to look at the other side of things, and that there are other side of things than this. Because we talk about how many people get this thing, but we don't talk about what? People who survive it. And the only ones we ever hear about are the people who went through the most horrific side of this. I thought this was very interesting by Rand Paul.
But we have 11 million people in our country who have already had COVID. We should tell them to celebrate. We should tell them to throw away their masks, go to restaurants, live again, because these people are now immune. But Dr. Fauci doesn't want to admit to any of that. Dr. Fauci's like, oh, woe is me, until the election occurs, and now maybe he'll be changing his attitude.
And I think that's right. We have 11 million people that survived. Now, if you go by what the CDC and the World Health Organization says, you're looking probably closer to 20, 30, maybe 40 million people. We need to start taking calculated risks. We need to start living our lives. We need to start facing this thing a little bit more head on, not ostrich with the head in the sand, but calculated. Because another shutdown in mass, especially during the time of the year that we're facing right now, which is the time of the year when retail usually, as I say, makes hay, this could be devastating. This could be. What will happen? I think states across the country over the next coming several days are going to shut down, and don't be surprised if we're shut down through the holidays in a lot of states. And businesses that thought they made it through the worst are going to find out that it's over and done with. And how soon, if and when will there be a stimulus? I couldn't tell you. Where's the president? He's busy fighting lawsuits everywhere, filing them as much as he possibly can because he thinks somewhere along the line he's had everything stolen from him, which, quite frankly, it's over. It's time to let the lawsuits go, but it's also time to come to the realization that you need to allow Biden to start getting access to some of these things that are out there. You need to allow for your transition team and his transition team to start talking. And in the event that you win, great. But I'm not betting any money on you winning. And you're seeing now law firms are stepping away from Trump, asking to be released from the lawsuits because they do not believe there's anything there.
The voters of Pennsylvania have spoken, the Secretary of the Commonwealth said, in urging a federal judge to dismiss what she called President Trump's desperate and unfounded attempt to interfere. The Trump campaign has sought to prevent Pennsylvania from certifying the election results, which currently show Joe Biden ahead by nearly 55,000 votes. The Trump campaign put less emphasis on fraud, for which there's no evidence, and instead argued poll watchers were unable to meaningfully observe, a claim Pennsylvania said required multiple leaps of logic.
Yeah. And that's what you're getting. They're going places now, and the lawsuits they're filing have zero to do with fraud and have to do with they weren't trained properly here in Arizona. Their lawyer said, no, we don't have any. There's no fraud. This thing wasn't stolen. It's the people here at the polls. They made some mistakes that were not nefarious, but human relate. Well, You're not going to make people perfect. So it's time for us to start moving forward and figuring out what's this thing look like in 2021 with Joe Biden as president and potentially the Senate in Mitch McConnell's hands. And how can they work together to move us in a position where we start to move forward in a place where we thought we were through this. Saw the third quarter. We saw the huge jump in the GDP. We thought, well, the fourth quarter is going to ramp up. We've got a lot of things going on. You got people out there that are ready to spend and to get out and shop. And that may not happen now.
A lot of people think that the bulk of shopping happens online. This year, it will still happen in stores, believe it or not. About 2/3 of all of our shopping will happen in stores versus online this year still, and sales are expected to top $1 trillion.
Which is amazing when you think about it. It's incredible. But if we shut down, that could get absolutely ugly because people are ready to go. People are ready to spend. We talk about the foundation of our economy is good. We had to tear it down to the roots, right? All the way down to the studs. And now we're having to rebuild it, and we think we could rebuild it faster. We'd be like the Amish, right? Put up the barn in one day kind of thing. But at some point in time, this is truly going to affect us if we see places go full lockdown. And that's a possibility because we're itching.
Thanksgiving Thursday, analysts predict that sales will be up as much as 50% online just because people will be home shopping. They will also be home shopping on Black Friday, where online sales are predicted to top $10 billion for the first time ever. And you might be wondering, where will Americans be getting their money to spend on buying things online? Well, it's because they're not spending things at restaurants or travel or experiences right now.
Yeah, and that travel's a big thing, too, because that's a portion of our economy that is just getting destroyed, and they're trying to figure out how do they move forward at a time where people aren't traveling, and what does they say? 1/3 of all the routes that were out there are now going to be completely eliminated.
There was a modest rise in leisure travel bookings from August through October, but Southwest Airlines says it now sees a slowdown, dashing hopes of improving revenue the last 2 months of the year, a key period for the industry. Southwest and JetBlue announced it will stop blocking seats as airlines are losing money by leaving seats empty. Despite a health study that found a low risk of transmitting the virus during flights, the trade group Airlines for America says air travel is down about 65% from a year ago, and U.S. airlines are still losing about $180 million a day.
Soak that up. That's a portion of our economy. Because what are those people doing? They're traveling. Where are they traveling? Leisure, business. They're going somewhere. Where? Hotels. Hotels aren't booked. What's that mean? Staffs are being laid off. Restaurants in and around areas. Boom, not working. California, Disney, one of the big things they talk about is while Disney will hold on, the surrounding area, the hotels, the little hotels that are all around there that have built up, because it's expensive to go to Disney. And people, Disneyland Hotel. Yeah, a lot of times, A, it's booked up, and B, it's ridiculously expensive. So you book something right next door to it. Those things aren't going to be around long. You can pick them up cheap if you've got the money. It's all tied together. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program, Rough Greens. I'm going to do something good for you. I call it the Doodle Challenge. You guys know about my dog, Doodle. So Doodle, it's older. He's probably like 10, 11 years old. We thought he was like 4 when we got him. Never found out later on. He was closer to like 8 or 7. We're like, uh-oh. But he had troubles with his hip. Got a little giddy up in his legs. And then we found out it's arthritis. It's fatty tumors. So we did everything. We gave him the best food we could get him. We tried all kinds of things with the vet. Nothing we could do could help him. And then we started giving him a supplement called Rough Greens. We sprinkle it on his food, and it's got vitamins, vegetables, minerals, probiotics, omega-3, 6, 9. It's got all of these great things in it, and it has helped him. Over 7 months, over 7 days, we saw a difference. Over 10 days, we're like, wow, we're 7 months plus into this, and he is a different dog compared to what he once was. He is living his best little life, and right now, Rough Greens is saying to everybody out there, do it. I call it the Doodle Challenge. A free bag of Rough Greens for your dog. It's a supplement. Sprinkle it on your dog's food. They'll love it. And it's free. Not going to cost you a penny outside of paying for shipping. It's a $30 value. It's yours free. Try it now. Go to roughgreens.com/Chad. ruffgreens.com/Chad. $30 value, absolutely free. Just go, pay for shipping. roughgreens.com/Chad. Rough Greens, we make any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
I'm so tired. I'm exhausted.
If you're part of the politically exhausted majority, don't fear. Your time to be validated and rejuvenated is here. Wake up. It's the Chad Benson Show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? Let's take a look at what's trending. Start in Twitter, because they're just always arguing at Twitter. That's all they do. Get a chance to yell at each other. Yeah, baby. Masters, trending big time. Porter Wright, that was the law firm that has bowed out of the Pennsylvania cases. With Trump just saying there's no there, and they're moving on. Oh, no. Yeah, I know, right? Like, what's he going to do? I don't know. The Mandalorian's trending. Cardigan Day? No idea today. Did you know today was Cardigan Day? I had no idea. And GOP senators are trending because they believe it's time Biden should start receiving security briefings. By the way, this is very interesting. So in the run-up to the election, Biden was receiving briefings and things, and then once the election was over, that has stopped. So not that that's childish, but it is. Head on over to Google. World Kindness Day is today. Fantastic. Are you kind to people? Are you? Yeah, I don't think so. The Masters trending. Including one stat from yesterday that is crazy. So, Bryson DeChambeau, who is the big hitter in golf right now, he averaged 334 yards off the tee yesterday. 334 yards. Larry Mize, 62. He won in 1987, 6 years before Bryson was born. He plays because you get the opportunity to play when you're a Masters past champion. He averaged 247 yards off the tee. They tied. And the lockdown in Britain. The pubs are getting anxious. Christmas is when it looks like. Under the new lockdown planned to last a month, pubs in England have closed from November 5th to December 2nd. Restaurant, gyms, and non-essential shops are being shuttered by the government in efforts to quell the second, third, fourth wave of coronavirus. I never really went anywhere, but it's still here. So, and let me tell you something. In Britain, Christmas time is huge for getting together with family, going to the pubs, all of these big things that we don't do here. We do the family thing, but the pub plays a huge part in a lot of that there, as well as pantomimes, going out and doing, certain things during this time of year that it's just, it's hurting them. It is hurting everybody. Not just us, by the way. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. Jim Kennedy joins us straight ahead to talk about Georgia and what the Republicans need to do. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
There are Democrats stealing the election here. No.
The only votes being counted by the Board of Elections at the Pennsylvania Convention Center are votes cast by eligible voters on or before Election Day.
The president says there's, quote, a mountain of corruption and dishonesty here. Is that true?
No, it's not true.
The president says observers were not allowed in the counting rooms. Is that true?
That's totally untrue.
The president says, quote, bad things happened that our observers were not allowed to see. Is that true?
Absolutely not.
I agree. Right there. That, by the way, is Al Schmidt, top GOP official in Philadelphia or Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania aside, that's the one that put Biden over. There are still two races that have to happen, and they're arguably, at this point in time, bigger than the presidential. And that's Georgia. Joining us now is Jim Kennedy, Kennedy Institute of Public Policy Research. All right, let's break these things down, Jim, because these are two Senate seats that are out there. The chance for Georgia to go blue, if you will, is there. But this would do something that, could sway the Senate. So let's talk about these. You've got, you've got Perdue and, was it what's her name? Loeffler?
Yes, Kelly Loeffler, who was running in the. Yeah, she's running in the other race against Sam Warnock, and Perdue is running against Ossoff in the main Georgia race, or in the other Georgia race.
Now the Perdue race versus Ossoff, that was pretty contentious, and Perdue came very close to getting he won in votes, but didn't get the prerequisite 51% to clinch it. So they're going to have a runoff. And Ossoff, I think a lot of people in the Democratic Party feel really highly of him, like he's got a big future. What's that look like?
Yeah, right now Perdue is actually with 99% in. He's 14,179 votes short of getting his 50% plus one majority that would basically wipe out the runoff. But yeah, it doesn't look like he's probably going to get there with the number of votes that are outstanding, and a recount probably won't switch enough votes. But yeah, John Ossoff, you are correct. Remember, he was the young guy that was picked to run in that special election. I think it was in 2018 for the for a Georgia House seat that was fully backed by the DNC, which he did not win. He lost to a Republican in a slightly Republican district in the suburbs of Atlanta. But he is considered to be a rising star in the Democratic Party. But he's lost one race. If he loses the runoff, I'm not sure if his star is going to be quite as bright and shining, because they will have thrown a lot of money behind him twice, and he will have lost twice. So his message may not quite be resounding with the voters of Georgia, either on the congressional or Senate level.
Talking to Jim Kennedy, Kennedy Institute of Public Policy Research, as we break down Georgia. It's January 5th. It's two runoffs. Okay, so let's take a look at Perdue. Purdue's been around a while. They need one of these Republicans because this is important. If they win one of these, they hold on to the Senate, which eventually means, Mitch McConnell can go, no. And, that's kind of the gridlock that I think the stock market and a lot of people are hoping there's something that won't have one party run all over the other party. Perdue, though, he's been around a bit, and the coronavirus, I think, really hurt him, and the way that he came at the coronavirus, as far as people in Georgia were concerned.
No, absolutely. All of the Republicans have probably suffered with it because they've all not actually literally getting it, but suffering it from the point of it has not helped them because of Trump's policies. And a lot of the Republicans have been more open things up. Let's get the economy going. The people that are sick can quarantine. Those that should be can quarantine, but the rest of the well people, the 98% that aren't going to really have a problem, they should be able to go back to their lives. And for some people that has helped them, but with other people that has hurt them. And it's certainly going to be probably one of the top issues. That also is going to be with the amount of money that is going to be pouring into those races. Those are going to be the top focus because there'll be nothing else running after this. We finished the presidential election. This will be the only elections to focus on, and both the RNC and the DNC, because as you stated, the importance of these elections, it is for the control of the Senate, will be down there in full force, and they will be throwing their full weight financially behind both of these races. So the amount of money that could be spent on these could be astronomical. It could exceed the 103 or 5 million that was thrown against Lindsey Graham in South Carolina. So look for a couple of $100 million plus races in the period of less than 60 days.
Talking to Jim Kennedy, Kennedy Institute of Public Policy Research. Now, the other race is very interesting. I think Purdue will probably pull this one off. That's my hunch. But the Loeffler race is interesting. She's got, she's a QAnon person. Some people throw out there. She's been very, has come out and been very antagonistic, as some people say, towards Black Lives Matter. She and her husband own the WNBA team there in Atlanta. And then you look over there and you've got, somebody who's running against her who is African American. And they think they have that advantage there because it's all about identity politics, as we all know. But you go and look and you realize that in their race, there was another Republican and almost 800,000 people voted for other candidates. So it's a very interesting race to see how that plays itself out.
Yeah, it was. It was almost like a primary in a sense because, there were like 17 or 18 different candidates in there from the Republican and from the Democratic Party. Because, in fact, you're correct. The third place finisher got almost 1 million votes as a Republican. 978,000, and then behind that was another Democrat that got 323,000. If you add all the votes up, there were more Republican votes than there were Democrat votes. But it will be a very close race for both sides. They have already begun the Oppo research, and there was a big opposition research dump last night by the Loeffler camp on Warnock, claiming a bunch of different things. You can read about it out there in the press. I'm not going to go into them, but the race is already underway. Even though they haven't finished counting all the votes, they know who the two will be in the runoff, and it's going to be a nasty race. I am quite sure about that. I remember even the earlier when she was running the WNBA team you referenced that they own, basically, disassociated themselves with her and says that while her husband and she do own the team, she has no active role in the team, and that that she has no policy making, and that they have basically no love for her and don't want to be affiliated with her at all.
Of the two races, which one do you think is more likely to go to the Republican and which one to the Democrats?
They're both probably going to be narrowly Republican. Purdue should be running better than this. He shouldn't be having this much problem. But again, Ossoff is getting the full backing of the DNC and the Democratic Senate Committee. Loeffler is probably not the best candidate, but because of their influence, their money, and their position within the state of Georgia and the Georgia party, she was able to pull this off. She was appointed to the seat, and this is a runoff to basically keep that seat. So she will probably pull out against Warnock, but again, these are probably both going to be, like you said, very close races that just are kind of a lean couple points Republican. They're probably going to be 49-51, 52-48 type of races. Because again, there will just be the two people voting just the two people running. There won't be any third party candidates or anybody else in the races. Having
Trump not be part of election night, do you think that helps the Republicans? Because so much of what we've seen, people coming out and voting and people who are energized, but you look and a lot of people voted for Trump. Yes, a lot of people, Republicans in particular, though, didn't vote for Trump. But when you go and look at their ballots, while they voted either third party or for Biden, they were pretty much straight Republican ticket down the line. Does this help or hurt not having Trump on top of a ticket that day?
Well, I think what's going to really help or hurt is whether Trump shows up in campaigns in Georgia. And that's going to be based upon how popular he is. The fact that he is currently losing the presidential race by about 14,000 votes would probably indicate they will not send him down there. And as you've mentioned, he kind of has checked out in a lot of things now that it looks like he is going to lose the election. So he probably won't go down there, and they may tell him not to. But then again, Kelly Loeffler is a lot closer to Trump, and she may ask him to come down and run. She may think it's going to help her. It'll we'll find out when the results are in. But, when you're 50-50 in the state, you're absolutely right, though. There are a lot of people that voted, against Trump or didn't vote in the presidential race and then voted straight Republican down the line. I mean, Trump is a polarizing figure. I've said for a long time, he's not Republican, he's not Democrat, he's Trumpian. And for a lot of Republicans, he rubs them the wrong way. And for a lot of people that aren't Republicans, they love Trump. So, he really kind of tosses up the old political landscape when you start thinking Republican and Democrat.
Talking to Jim Kennedy, Kennedy Institute Public Policy Research. Trump, to me, he's completely checked out. If it isn't for these lawsuits and this wild goose chase that I think he's on right now, I think he's completely checked out. I think we've got to start looking. Okay, it's going to be a Biden and a Biden administration. Two things: what's that administration look like? And secondly, the transition. How's that going to look? Especially because they're not participating in the transition. And I'll be honest, whether you believe you've won or lost, you need to do the solid thing and allow them to have access and start making some plans. Because if you win, well, that doesn't matter. If you don't win, you're gonna put America in a bit of a squeeze here.
No, absolutely. And I would share because, this is a traditional Republic, or this is a traditional Democrat. Joe Biden's obviously been a Democrat all of his life. So the whole apparatus that's behind a transition will be in place, and they will be fully on that. He's named a transition director and all that. And then they're fully going down the path with or without access. And it's really important because that's one of the things that really kind of hampered Trump at the start was being that this wasn't a traditional Republican when he won. They were very far behind, and still even to this point didn't get all of their spots filled because they weren't pulling just in traditional Republicans that would do these types of jobs. So Biden probably will not have that problem. He'll be, much more up and running on day one because he's going to have traditional Democrats in those roles. There will be plenty of people picked. Who they are yet is going to be a matter of time. We'll find those out in the next 60 days on who they are. There's lots of names rumored. One of the things he's got to be careful about, depending upon how the Senate comes down, is for example, he may not be able to point Liz Warren to a cabinet post because currently there's a Republican governor in Massachusetts. If he pulls her out of the Senate, and let's say the Democrats win those two races, it would be 50-50. You pull them out and they appoint a Republican. That then flips it back to Republicans 51-49. So he may be hamstringed by that. He may only get one or two key Democrats out of the Senate. Now, if they're losing 52-48, then it may not matter as much. So those Georgia races could have an impact on how the cabinet posts get dealt out too.
It's going to be very interesting. Love having you on, Jim Kennedy, Kennedy Institute of Public Policy Research. Always good to talk to you, brother. You have a good weekend.
Thanks, Chad. Enjoy.
At Chad Benson Show, Twitter, ChadBenson. Could you imagine that? So Liz Warren doesn't get to be the Treasury Secretary? What? That's what she wants to be for all her financial stuff. All the years of financial thingies and all that stuff. So Bernie wants to be the Labor Secretary. Liz wants to be the Treasury Secretary. What else do we got going on here? I don't know. Oh, my goodness. All right, check it out. HelloFresh is amazing. They got the Black Friday sale going on. It's America's #1 meal kit. It's sourced from growers. It's shipped directly to you, contact-free. It is easy to do. I do it. Even comes with pictures. So you get 22 chef-curated recipes every week. They put these things together. You choose what you want. Vegetarian, low-calorie, family-friendly options. And then you don't have the headache of trying to figure out what you're going to make that night. There's I could do this, staring at the pantry or opening up the refrigerator or freezer going, all right, what am I going to do? It's all done for you. You just take it, you read the recipes, or you go by picture, and you put it together. And within about 20 to 30 minutes, right on your table, you've got dinner ready. And it is incredible. And you save, too. Food waste, because they're portioned perfectly. So you cut down on that. 40% versus shopping at the store. What are you waiting for? Right now, HelloFresh is doing something amazing. Black Friday sale. Go to HelloFresh.com. Code Benson90. Benson90 saves you $90 in free shipping on your first. Whoa. Are you serious? Absolutely. It's a Black Friday sale. #1 meal kit in America. HelloFresh.com. Promo code Benson90 to save $90 and free shipping. HelloFresh.com. Promo code Benson90 and free shipping. Grab it now. Chad Benson Show.
Don't let the Washington Beltway strangle you. This is where the exhausted majority comes to refuel, realign, and reevaluate. This is Chad Benson.
My name is Greta Thunberg.
In the new Hulu documentary, I Am Greta.
And I Want You to Panic.
We learn that cameras have been following Greta Thunberg on her quest for climate justice since day one.
I've tried to kind of take the viewer a little bit inside her head.
Director Nathan Grossman tells me she's more than just an angry young girl. She and other young activists like her feel they have no choice but to try and clean up a mess made by adults.
They don't want to carry the responsibility of this issue on their shoulders.
Our political leaders have failed us.
And Greta is showing us that no one is, in a sense, too small to make a difference.
Yeah, I'm not going to panic. I appreciate that, Greta, but just not going to do it. So I can't. I want you to panic. No. But you should. Not going to do it. Look, and for a young generation who doesn't have their Great War, and I know that sounds weird, but they don't have their Great War. This is one of their great wars. Social injustice is their battlefield, and that includes climate. And they're playing it up. To them, this is their war.
I think the movie shows very much why Greta is so worried about this, and also how she and these young kids are like an amazing alarm bell to kind of telling us about this issue, but also clearly shows that they don't want to do this in a sense. They don't want to carry the responsibility of this issue on their shoulders, and actually, you know, as a child to feel that it could be heavy.
Could be. But there's a lot to it. And the sad thing is the politics behind this makes it very divisive. Right? This is our home. Let's not crap where we eat. I say that all the time. I want clean water, clean air. I want to find better renewable energy that is actually reliable on a day-to-day basis, that's not so expensive that only a certain group of people can afford it, while telling everybody else how to live their lives. We should be able to do that. But we've got to do it in a smart way. But the politics of it makes it very, very much a situation where it's become very divisive, because you have a lot of people out there who want to use climate change as a way to reshape a lot of things for social justice and to have more control. And I'm not a fan, and I'm going to give a hard pass to that. We should be doing everything in our power to do all that we can to make our planet as clean as possible. But we've got to do it in a smart way. And you can't have a conversation anymore because it's all or nothing. But welcome to the way we live our lives now. In any conversation, it's all or nothing. People are so hell-bent on having 100% of nothing rather than 50% of something. Would you rather be right, or would you rather be rich? Just a thought. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We're here. COVID hell. How bad is it?
This is a true humanitarian crisis. The Doctors Without Borders come to the United States to do their work. They go to the hottest spots in the world. They look at the earth and say, where are we needed? Well, they're needed here in the United States right now. So I know it's tough to hear. I've already gotten a lot of emails and social about the fact that I call this a humanitarian disaster, but I stand by it. It is. And hopefully it inspires people to do something about it.
And what would you like them to do? Stay in, never leave, don't go anywhere. I kid. Look, we got to take this thing seriously. We do. I'm not saying we don't take it serious. But I also think at some point we've got to come to the realization that we've been trying stuff for months now. We're fatigued. We're used to our freedoms. We're frustrated. We're used to our freedoms. We are no longer believing what's being told to us. Well, it's because of all the disinformation from the Trump organization. No, it's because the CDC, the World Health Organization, and everybody else has changed their tune 1,000 times. We've watched television over and over and over again and been told essentially, if you get this, you're never going to make it. That's the way you feel. The reality is something completely different. I've been saying this is endemic, not pandemic, meaning it's not going anywhere, Dr. Fauci.
This wave dwarfs the spring and summer surges.
I doubt we're going to eradicate this. I think we need to plan that this is something we may need to maintain control over chronically. Certainly, it's not going to be pandemic for a lot longer because I believe the vaccines are going to turn that around.
Yeah, I believe that too. Does it mean that we can't be cautious? No. Does it mean we throw, we get the news of a vaccine or what potentially could be a vaccine sooner rather than later, and oh my God, we have to be smart, but we need to start living in a world of, hey, a little reality. It's not going anywhere. People are not going to go, well, I'm giving up on everything and not having Thanksgiving.
The CDC now says the best way for Americans to give thanks this year is online.
The good news is that next Thanksgiving is going to be fabulous. It's going to be the best ever. This Thanksgiving is going to suck a bit.
Okay. But we were told, the problem is when you continue to move the goalpost, that's what people are frustrated, because now you're telling us, well, next Thanksgiving is going to be great. People don't believe that anymore. They don't believe that next Thanksgiving is going to be great because you're saying it right now. You're saying, oh, this next Thanksgiving is going to be great? Governor Jay Inslee's talking about if you're going to go to this Thanksgiving, what do you need to do?
We have a simple request from our family to yours. Please do not have Thanksgiving gatherings unless you're positive that everyone there has quarantined successfully for 14 days.
So I not have Thanksgiving because of I'm confused. There's a lot of confusion. So you want us to quarantine for 14 days. And then what? That's the stuff that's insane. Look, and what do they say? Over and over again. Listen to this.
We're only going to have to do this once. This is a unique Thanksgiving and holiday season. We're thankful that more therapeutics are on the way, as is the imminent arrival of a vaccine.
A vaccine that everybody told Trump there's no way that you can ever think will be done by the end of the year. Remember that? No, it's never going to be done. And here we go. It is. Well, Pfizer's, they didn't participate in Operation Warp Speed. Maybe, just maybe, that wasn't true. Look, we're all frustrated, but we're frustrated because we feel like we're being strung along as well. We feel like the truth has been mangled to fit certain political ideologies and to make, well, quite frankly, a little panic porn for everybody. Because if it bleeds, it leads. Rand Paul was very optimistic, and something that I think is true, that I've been talking about it. How is it that every time we see somebody who's talking about their COVID experience, it's only somebody who was on the brink of death? It's never somebody's like, yeah, I had a cold for a day, it felt like, and I took some vitamin D, I got some sleep, and the next day I felt fine. Because that's not interesting. That doesn't sell. What sells is emotion. That's what sells.
But we have 11 million people in our country who have already had COVID. We should tell them to celebrate. We should tell them to throw away their masks, go to restaurants, live again, because these people are now immune. But Dr. Fauci doesn't want to admit to any of that. Dr. Fauci's like, oh, woe is me, until the election occurs, and now maybe he'll be changing his attitude.
Maybe. I think he is. You know, if you listen to Dr. Fauci compared to Dr. Michael Osterholm, who is on the advisory board for Biden, who's saying, hey, we need to have a 4 to 6 week lockdown. By the way, analysts have come out and said if we had a lockdown for 4 to 6 weeks, you're probably looking at least a shaving off of anywhere between 25 and about 35% of the stock market. Well, it's not a big deal, Chad. I don't participate in the stock market. Do you have a 401k? Yeah. Okay. What do you think that is? Like special pretend money? That matters because that means also that businesses based on that and earnings and things like that will have to make decisions about employees. And those decisions will do what? Will affect the economy. Well, we just can't go on. No, we can't. But what happens in the event that not all of the things coming out are all they're cracked up to be? Well, it'll just be another 6 months and then we'll be through this. That's what people are frustrated with. Now, I have no doubt in my mind that Moderna, which wrapped up everything yesterday, will have, they said, by the end of the month, all of the data, will release it and hopefully apply for emergency authorization for their vaccine, which looks very promising, very similar to Pfizer, who should be applying next week for emergency authorization for theirs. I have no doubt in my mind between that and Eli Lilly's antibody intravenous treatment that we are going to come through this thing in a much better position March, April. And I feel almost to my core that by May, June, July, we will be back pretty much rocking it. We won't be back to where we were pre, but by the end of next year, I do believe we will be. But I can't live in a world of negativity. So they say on average, if you look at the World Health Organization and the CDC, that it's about, we're probably missing, for every one coronavirus we catch, we miss anywhere between 6 and 10. So we really don't have 10 million. We would have 60 million. I cut that in half. Let's say we have 33.5 million. This makes this still less than 1%. So 99.65% survivable. That puts a different damper, but we don't talk about that. We look at the mortality rate and we just look at the deaths. We don't look at the numbers behind those things and the stories behind those things, because it's all about the political objective and the emotional objective. We need to be smart, and that includes on how we approach this thing, but also how we approach living around it, through it, and with it at this moment in time. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Do love hearing from all of you. Would you get vaccinated? People ask me that all the time. Yeah, I got zero problems with getting vaccinated. I got none. None. There's nothing about this that worries me at all about getting vaccinated. Well, they're going to shoot a microchip. They're not going to shoot a microchip. Well, I have zero problems with it. And my thing is, once I get vaccinated, I want something that's, I want to go and say, hey, you need to wear your mask. Say, I'm vaccinated for this thing. And so I'm not a spreader. I'm not going to catch it. I like what Rand Paul is. You know what? You've had it. Throw your mask off. Go out, shop, eat, enjoy yourself. Why not? You went through it. At least soak up a little bit of the benefits, right? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from all of you, good, bad, indifferent. Legacy Box, the holidays are here. Many of you are looking for that perfect gift. Legacy Box is it, especially for your family, your mother, your father, your grandmother, grandfather, yourself. For many of us, we have a lot of old media. That's what I tell the kids. Old media, say your pictures with the films and whatnot, and the camcorders and the videotapes and such and whatnot. And we don't have them digitized. We don't have them out there. So Legacy Box is awesome. Comes in a box. That's all it is. What it does is truly amazing. It brings all of those things of your old media back to life. Your memories, things that you haven't been able to access because on VHS or they're on old pictures that aren't very good, or they're just scattered around and they're stuck in old. You remember those old picture books? The photo albums, and you pull them apart. And God forbid if you have beta or VHS or film reel. Yeah, this is what they do at Legacy Box. You mail it into them, and they're going to start going to work. Easily affordable to get those memories and bring them back to life. Start to finish, simple. You pack, you send. That's it. They take them, they digitize it by hand. Then, along the way, you can keep up with where they are in the process. You get everything back, including everything digitized and on modern media. Thumb drive, DVD if you want it, the cloud, you name it. It's incredible. Get started today, future-proofing your memories. Go to legacybox.com/Benson. You're going to get incredible 40% off your first order. Buy now. Take advantage. Exclusive offer. Send in when you're ready. Go to legacybox.com/Benson to save 40% while supplies last. Chad Benson Show.
No fake outrage here, just the real thing. The Chad Benson Show.
Disney, with its first full-year loss in more than 40 years, the company out with fourth-quarter earnings hit hard as expected by the pandemic. A $7.4 billion loss for 2020, led by the closure for a good chunk of the year of most of its theme parks and the docking of its cruise ships. Streaming, though, a bright spot. Disney Plus now has more than 73 million subscribers, and the TV networks also turned a profit last quarter. Disney's the parent company of ABC News.
Man, I tell you, I can't believe it. Not good. Disneyland's still not open. That isn't opening for a while. They've been open. I think they've been closed since what? April? That is insane. That is insane. Oh boy, that sucks. Hey, thanks, Gavin Newsom. Hey, thanks, China. Somebody got to get over there right now. Get that crap. I'm over it. You tell Xing, hey, we see you, and there's a reason that Winnie the Pooh looks like you. And as we all know, Winnie's whiny. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson shows your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Do love hearing from all of you. Mental health is a struggle in these crazy times. Holidays are already tough. Now throw in this. So you got the holidays. You've got people that are stressed out and in some cases have been off and on work or working from home with very little human activity the way that you would normally have it. And now you've got mental health issues with a lot of children as well as adults. It's ugly.
It is the lives that are lost, but it's also the many people who are struggling with lingering symptoms, those who have been hospitalized. It's jobs loss and economic pain. It's kids who can't go to school, and it's people who are not able to go home for Thanksgiving.
Absolutely. That's a huge thing. My son's going home tomorrow, and he loves home. He lives with me here. Right now, since the pandemic, he's coming out a ton because he's got sisters to play with, and he's got family, like a little bit of family. But mostly, besides that, he's got run of everything outside. Doesn't have to worry about the things he does in San Diego area and in California as they clamp down harder and harder. And not being able to go to school and see his friends has taken a massive toll. But it's not just him. Man, talking to my friends who've got kids and seeing them tell me how devastated their kids are because they're closing their schools again and they're struggling. And, at the beginning of this, when people were saying, well, we don't want the cure to be worse than the disease. What did everybody say? You guys are evil, you're bad, you hate grandma, and you want everybody to die. And, because that's what we do. And now more and more health professionals are coming out going, well, okay, hold on here. This could get much uglier, and there may not be. Right now, there may only be bad solutions. Is that great movie Argo? Do you have any other bad ideas? No, this is the best bad idea we have. It is hurting people.
the mental health impact of this pandemic has been profound too, that more people are experiencing anxiety and depression and loneliness, and this is really taking a toll.
Yeah. And no more do we see that than with our veterans. And the VA hotline out here in Phoenix normally gets 40,000 calls a month. Since the lockdown, shutdown, restriction downs, whatever you want to call them, began, they're averaging about 800 to 900,000 calls a month. Think of that. That is 20-fold jump. That's nuts. We've got to figure something out. And as they talk about the fact, as we move forward into the holiday season, these are always tough times when it comes to the holiday season anyways. There's depression potentially could grow. What do we have going on? Now a holiday season where we may be even further apart, and you throw in a very contentious election season that got a lot of people emotional. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson. Shoo is your Twitter. Tweet and text the program. Has Trump conceded? Will he concede? Will he never concede? Yes, yes, yes. No, no, yes, no, maybe no. I don't even know where he's at this moment in time. Twitter. That's pretty much the only place you can get him. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Plus, a new app for running turns you into a spy. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The voters of Pennsylvania have spoken, the Secretary of the Commonwealth said, in urging a federal judge to dismiss what she called President Trump's desperate and unfounded attempt to interfere. The Trump campaign has sought to prevent Pennsylvania from certifying the election results, which currently show Joe Biden ahead by nearly 55,000 votes. The Trump campaign put less emphasis on fraud, for which there's no evidence, and instead argued poll watchers were unable to meaningfully observe, a claim Pennsylvania said required multiple leaps of logic.
Yeah, it's not happening. It's over. Get the net. It's over, Stacey. That's the best way to describe this. His law firms are now leaving him. Think about that for a second. His law firms are now leaving. Yet another law firm, Porter, Wright, jump ship. Said, we're done. This isn't working. We find nothing here. It's over. And I don't know what's going on at this moment in time where you don't start allowing the transition team to meet, to start getting things in place, and you to start plotting what your next move is going to be. And, oh, by the way, you're still president for over 2 more months. So if you could participate, that'd be super solid as well.
I think the voters, the Trump voters, the people behind him, the 70 million, they won either way. They may feel like they haven't won right now, but you have to understand, you don't really love somebody until they go away. And then when they come back, you love them even more. And I think that's what's going to happen here. Obama went away. He basically left the party, just disappeared. Trump isn't going to do that. And they need him. He redefined the party because he spoke for people that both the Democrats and the Republicans forgot about. So I think we're going to have 2 presidents.
It's possible, in a sense. But the reality is you need to make sure that you finish strong. Oh, I have no doubt in my mind that a year or 2 from now, we're going to be sitting here and even people in the mainstream media, the establishment media, as I call them, will be saying, first of all, they're going to look at the revenues and goes, wow, Trump really brought a lot to us. Unless, of course, he just continues to, go after them and fight. And the other thing I think they're going to say is, he was obnoxious. It wasn't all horrible. Because that's what we do. We're a fickle bunch. We are. We're completely a fickle bunch. How many times have you seen it? President Bush leaves. Everybody hates President Bush. He's just awful. It's over. I'm over him. We're just over Bush. And then about a year later, 2 years later, like, well, he wasn't that bad. Obama, how many Republicans I knew at the beginning of it were like, I can't stand him. He's awful. He's horrible. Blah, blah, blah. They go through the whole 9 yards. And then when he leaves and stuff, they're like, well, I don't really have too many complaints. I think he did a good job. We do that. Once somebody leaves and he's leaving, people don't want to believe that. And the people that were getting in my face 2, 3, 4 weeks ago have suddenly become quiet. And the people that try to challenge me with stuff, and then you put it, okay, let's fact check it with real fact checkers, not the ones that are out there that only, they like to fact check and they also like to spin it, but real ones. And you point it out and you're like, oh my goodness, well, I didn't know that. It's time to move on and get ready for what's next. And I think that's a fair thing. And I think Trump needs to grow up at this point in time and realize I've got 2 months to do some stuff here that I would like to get done. And I'd also like to lay the foundation for Biden that it's going to be good. But sometimes I feel like Trump's the guy that's like, well, I'm going to burn it all down. I hope he's not like that. I think he's going to come to grips sooner rather than later. But it's time for us to focus on other things. Things like, what are we going to do when it comes to our economy?
The president and the Republicans in Congress have ignored, by delay, distortion, denial, deaths have been caused. And what are they doing now? Continuing to ignore in spite of these numbers that should be so compelling, that are an imperative for us to act upon this. Avoidance of taking responsibility. Their contempt for science, that's not what they're about. That's not what they're about. And what that is, they're engaged in an absurd circus right now, refusing to accept reality.
Some of it, I have no idea what she's talking about. But the reality in what she was first talking about is, look, states across the country when it comes to the coronavirus that are struggling financially, which is pretty much all of them, a lot of those states followed tons of rules that were put out there, followed all of the science, and they still can't stop the spread. Everybody seems to kind of be in the exact same place. So slow your roll, sister. The second thing, when it comes to a stimulus, it shouldn't be all or nothing. Somewhere in the middle, we can have short-term fixes while this thing continues to move forward into the new administration, and we see slowdowns and or shutdowns across the country.
You voted no on McConnell's $500 billion package. What concessions are you willing to make now so that desperate Americans don't have to wait until 2021?
I'm not going to say, oh, okay, we'll forget food stamps. We won't be worried about people having enough food. That's irresponsible, even though we address the issue and the Republicans don't. I'm not going to say, well, let's walk away from testing people for coronavirus and saying you don't have to wait days for results. I'm not going to walk away from those things. What we need to do is to walk into the positive side of this, a bipartisan approach that really does something now, that is helpful now.
Yeah. Dick Durbin there. I agree. And it shouldn't be all or nothing, but that's what we've turned our life into. All or nothing. What's the positive? The positive is the death rates aren't anywhere near what we were told they were going to be. The economy, while floundering at times, had a strong growth and seems to be on good, solid footing, but does need to be rebuilt. We need action, but we don't need overreaction. And unfortunately, in this day and age, what do we get? Mostly overreaction. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows, your Twitter tweet. Text, love hearing from you. It is the holiday season. We've got to be smart. And by the way, we're going to spend some money this year.
A lot of people think that the bulk of shopping happens online. This year, it will still happen in stores, believe it or not. About 2/3 of all of our shopping will happen in stores versus online this year still, and sales are expected to top $1 trillion.
What? Yeah, that is great. But I think that's assuming that things are going to be open. Ooh, yeah. That's also something, because we're going to have a lot of places potentially that aren't going to be open.
Many retailers, major ones, have announced in recent days that they will close their brick and mortar locations on Thanksgiving Thursday. Now, in years past, they've kept them open, much to the chagrin of those who work in them. This year, those websites will be open still 24/7. And on that Thanksgiving Thursday, analysts predict that sales will be up as much as 50% online just because people will be home shopping.
Yeah. Well, especially when you're home shopping and you're not actually out at any kind of Thanksgiving meal because it's gone online itself. So while you're Skyping with your family and you're eating your whatever you've decided to get for yourself earlier in the day or ordered and brought back to your house, while all of that is going on, you can also be surfing the web and purchasing stuff, and those numbers will be up.
Thanksgiving Thursday, analysts predict that sales will be up as much as 50% online just because people will be home shopping. They will also be home shopping on Black Friday, where online sales are predicted to top $10 billion for the first time ever. And you might be wondering, where will Americans be getting their money to spend on buying things online? Well, it's because they're not spending things at restaurants or travel or experiences right now.
That's very true. But the travel thing is big. And one of the reasons that we forget is, well, what's going on with the airlines? What's going on with traveling? They're telling you not to travel this holiday season. Hotels don't get customers, which means the restaurants and the places around the restaurants don't get customers, which means the travel industry itself doesn't get customers as far as going from point A to point B. And the trickle-down effect of that is massive. It is. I see it here. When all of this came down and they started to close things down in March, spring training was going on. And almost overnight, at a time where Arizona, because of the weather, when it's cold everywhere else, when it's 27 degrees in Buffalo and 40 degrees you're high in New York City, we're sitting here in 70s and 80s, and they're playing baseball, and people are flocking here because of the weather to escape their cold. All of a sudden, overnight, gone. Hotels that were $150 a night that aren't worth $20 a night are back down to $20 a night. And what's that mean? The restaurants across the way, empty. It's the trickle-down effect. So what's going on at Disneyland? Their fourth quarter, we talked about it. Oh, boy. Hotels around Disneyland. The establishments around Disneyland are boarding up, closing, getting bought up for pennies on the dollar because of that trickle-down effect. So this holiday, people are going to have some money to spend because they haven't been anywhere. But some of those people that aren't, they're not. And we've got pent up, man. People want to spend. People want to spend. That's why I'm hopeful that we're going to have an okay fourth quarter, probably not as good as it could have been because of the surge in coronavirus, but it is going to be interesting to see how we finish out the year and the holidays. And I know we're always being told it's only this year. Next year will be totally different. I think so too, but when I hear politicians say stuff like that, I go, I don't know if I believe you now. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. MyPillow. Ooh, MyPillow, MyPillow. Let me tell you something about MyPillow. Got a great deal going on. I love my MyPillow. It's awesome. I have my Stow and Go Anywhere pillow. And I got my regular pillow. And right now they're doing something incredible. Get some of those loved ones we were just talking about as far as holidays and Christmas go off your list and get them a MyPillow. It'll something that is just incredible. They will appreciate it more than you realize. Right now, premium MyPillow sale. The ones that started it all. The MyPillow. Normally $69.98, now $29.98. King size, just $5 more. Made in the USA. Will never go flat when you sleep. You can wash and dry it. It's incredible. Buy now, and Mike Lindell is going to extend the 6-day money-back guarantee to March 1st, 2021. Go to mypillow.com. Click on the radio listener area. Use promo code Benson. You're going to find this amazing offer as well as deep discounts on all MyPillow products, the mattress toppers, the Giza Dream Sheets, all of that stuff. Go to mypillow.com. Use promo code Benson. mypillow.com. Promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
You go, boy.
This isn't about right or left. This is just about right and wrong.
Right you are, Chad. The Chad Benson Show.
Jingle Jangle, A Christmas Journey is magical and musical.
It's gonna be a Merry, Merry Christmas indeed.
And led by a black cast, which writer-director David E. Talbert tells me is how he pitched it to Netflix.
Black people and people of color love the holidays just like everybody else. And what do we have to sit down with and watch every year? I said there's nothing.
The race of the characters, never discussed, it's just there. And Talbert says he hopes people will watch it and take away.
That we're all magical, that the world is an inclusive place, and we all have a seat at the table of wonder and magic.
Jingle Jangle, A Christmas Journey is on Netflix today.
Yeah, I'll probably watch that. You will? Of course. Why not? I like Christmas stuff. As we all know, my love and my infinity for the amazing, and yes, if you've been people at, you really watch? I do watch the Hallmark movies. I do. I watch the Hallmark movies all the time. I try to at least, over the weekend, I'll watch a bunch at different times, like in between the Masters and, then at night I'll watch some. So I do. I enjoy it. And it's great because it just takes your mind off stuff. Here's a movie I won't watch. Now, Producer Phil, you and I have always talked about the bizarre movies that they let people make that for whatever reason, I have no idea why they do it. This one may take the cake. Now, the last one we talked about was The First Cow, where this one takes the entire cake of why. And it's only opening in L.A. and New York, and there's a reason for that. Hold your horses, kids. Ha ha! It's called Gunda. It's experimental. This is how they describe it, by the way. Experimental cinema in its purest form. That right there tells you you're not going to enjoy it if you have any taste in anything. Gunda, are you ready? Are you ready? Chronicles the unfiltered lives of a mother pig, a flock of chickens, a herd of cows with masterful intimacy, using stark, transcendent black and white cinematography and the farm's ambient soundtrack. The master director, Victor Kazakowski, invites the audience to slow down and experience life as its subjects do, talking in the words with magical patience and otherworldly perspective. Gunda asks us to meditate on the mystery of animal consciousness and reckon with the role of humanity who plays in it. Now, let's talk about these animals. You've got the mother pig, but you also have a one-legged chicken that will be involved in this. Some people say it's great intimacy and stark simplicity and magical realism. It's having an Oscar run. Executive producer is Joaquin Phoenix. Openly endorsed by filmmaker Paul Thomas Anderson, who makes weird movies as well, that if you watched any of them, you go, The Master. Like, he made Boogie Nights. That was great. There Will Be Blood. Great. The Master. Phantom Thread. My God. Somebody told somebody, here, take this. This is money. I want you to burn it. Chad, they're asking us to slow down, to get involved in these animals' lives. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to be rushing out to see that. It just seems like an awful movie. There's a reason that it's opening in 2 places. L.A. and New York, so it can get on the Oscar, and then it'll go win an Oscar because people will praise it for all of its mastery. If you shoot anything in black and white, people are like, that was amazing. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet, text. Solid, fun week as always. You guys enjoy your week. Relax. Put up Christmas stuff. Smile. Do your best to take your mind off the chaos and craziness and realize we live in the best time in human history. We're going to get through this. We're going to come out the other end way better and stronger. And that's a great thing. I will do it again, and you will do it again with me on Monday. As always, night-night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.